I am Spanish impaired, and so I appreciate Tioma for having me here. I appreciate you for coming here, and I'm excited to bring my very best for you. This morning, I never actually do the same speech twice. I've never actually done that. And before every speaking event, I just ask myself, what is it that will help them the most? How can I help them the most? And so I never know what stories I'm going to share. I usually know what strategies, right? Because they're tried and true. We've tested them. We've tracked them. We know that they work. So strategies are usually pretty similar, but the stories are always different. And so there's a few things that came to me this morning that I know that people in this room and people online need to hear, and I'm excited to be on this platform to share it with you. And so thank you again, Tioma. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I'm really honored. No. Network marketing saved me. When I got serious about network marketing, I had dabbled in it before, and I never invested in myself enough to learn it well enough to really, crush it, to really succeed. Well, when I got serious about network marketing, I had lost it all. I was dead broke. I was in personal foreclosure. I was deeply, deeply depressed. I wasn't happy with myself. And I remember Christmas of 2008. And, I have 4 kids, 24, 22, 5, and 2, okay? And I remember my sons, my 2 older sons, and it was Christmas, and it was like I was there, but I wasn't really there because I was so stressed out. And I thought to myself, what went wrong? What went wrong? Because I had some success in my past, but all of that was gone. And I really didn't know what I was going to do, and I was stressed. So I had been in real estate in Florida from 2004 to right around 2008, 2009 with the crash, and I lost everything. I mean, I literally sold furniture. My savings account was empty. It was tough. I had a couple credit cards left that hadn't figured out I wasn't paying them. And again, no one was hiring because in Florida, everything revolved around real estate. So no one was hiring, my credit was shot, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I didn't share that with anybody. No one knew that. So if you would see me back then, they'd say, hey, how's it going? I'd be like, oh man, it's awesome, right? I'd go back to my house, cry. And I had a friend that invited me to a presentation. And I've never actually asked him if he knew how bad things were for me. I don't think he knew, but I could be wrong. So he invites me to this presentation, and for just a second, I suspended my disbelief. I stopped focusing on where I was, just for a second. And I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm going to encourage you to not focus on where you're at in your current circumstances or even who you currently are, because you can become anything that you want. If you told me the things that would happen over the last 10, 11 years, there's no way I could have believed you. I just couldn't have. And so for a minute, I suspended my disbelief, and I made a decision. I made a decision that I was going to make this work. I didn't know how. I didn't have the skill set. I didn't know how to make it work. I never made it work. But I made a decision. I'm going to make this work. And I think that's a big difference between people that succeed and people that don't, is when you truly make a decision, you are cutting off all other options, right? So decide is a word that really has meaning. It's the base, side is the base of suicide, genocide, insecticide. It means the cutting off of all other options, the destruction of all other options. I chose that day that I was going to destroy my previous self. I was no longer that person. I decided I was going to move and I was going to transform my life. And that's what happened. I'll tell you, it didn't happen right away. I got a lot of rejection. I had people say, oh, he couldn't cut it in real estate. He's doing one of those pyramids, right? Got a lot of ridicule. I remember calling people, and I would have friends that said, hey, how long are you going to be with this thing? I'm like, well, you're supposed to say that behind my back, not to my face. It's not very nice. But I kept going. I kept working on my skills. I kept showing up. There were 3 main things that I did to go on to become the #1 income earner of that company. So I know network marketing inside and out. I know at whatever income level you're at, I know why you're stuck. I've had clients that were stuck at $250,000 a month, and I helped them get unstuck. I've had clients that have been at this game for 15 years, had never made their money back. 15 years, hadn't even made what they spent, that went on to become $1 million earners. So I know where you're stuck, and I can help you with that. And I'm going to share those stories with you. Now, an important part of this story is the gentleman that invited me to that presentation is a gentleman named Christopher Peraldi. Now, I asked Chris, I said, Chris, what's your official position with Tioma? And I don't know if this is accurate. He told me he was the king of the United States. Is that what I think king, is that a little much? He tends to exaggerate sometimes, let's be honest. You can laugh, But no, he is your guy helping you expand into the USA, a dear friend of mine. Couldn't be here, he's dealing with some health issues, and I'm sending him much love. I'm very, very grateful for him because it was his courage to reach out to me that completely changed my life, which has allowed me to change the lives of tens and thousands of hundreds of thousands of people. Why is that story important to you? It's important because you have me in your phone. You have me in your neighborhood. Do you have the courage to ask the question? Will you, 11 years later, have someone up on stage thanking you? That's up to you. Will you have the courage? I don't suggest confidence. A lot of people say you got to be confident, right? You got to be confident. Confidence is a state that you arrive at. I was not confident before, now I'm confident. But courage in the moment you can tap into. You can make a decision that I'm going to go talk to this person because I'm tapping into courage. You can make that decision. You can't say, I'm going to talk to that person because I now have confidence. No. You either have confidence or you don't have confidence, but you can create courage. You can decide to walk up to a group of strangers and actually talk to them. They probably, most likely, even in Utah, won't bite you. It's true. Right? Have you guys been bitten yet? No? And so I share that story because there are people like me all over the world, like I used to be, not sure what I was going to do, depressed, didn't have an option to make more money, didn't know how to do it, didn't know what I was going to do. There are people on their hands and knees at night praying for a solution that you're not talking to. And you know why you're not talking to them? Because you're scared of looking stupid. Estupido? Is that right? See? Poquito? Okay, I'll stop. No more. But I share that with you because there's a lot of people out there, especially right now. There are people that had their businesses wiped out. There are people that dealt with health crises in their family, that dealt with lost ones, and they need not only a solution to make more money, but they need a community. You see, that's what I got from you last night. Last night at the founders dinner, I was very honored to be there. And you know what I got? Heart. That's what this company has. It has heart. I can tell it. And I've spoken at a lot of companies. I can't say that for every company. Sometimes I get a different vibe. I got heart from you guys last night. I didn't talk to every one of you, and please don't quiz me on your name, because I'm doing my best here, right, to remember names. But I got heart, and that's what you need. That's where it all comes from. It doesn't come from hype. It doesn't come from, I can tell you just from spending time with these founders, this company is going to be humongous. They're aggressive, they're fired up, they are focused. These guys are going to build a huge opportunity. But you know what? That doesn't matter to you. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, if you don't have the heart to see that it's more important for you to seek impact versus risk looking stupid, then you're not going to do anything. So why does it matter? They're going to do what they're telling you they're going to do. You can just tell it. Look at the moves they're making. Look at all they're doing here in the United States to help launch this. They're not open yet, right? And so I believe in this company. You have to believe that they're going to be there for you, and you have to believe that there's a better life for you. You have to believe that you can create a new life from your efforts. They're going to do their job, but you got to do your job. And your job is to open your mouth and speak to people and see if they're open to taking a look at what you got. It's very different. It's not the same way in every business. Now, started off rough, right? I didn't have the easy trail into network marketing. It was tough, right? I remember I had a list. I had a list of people, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm gonna call these people, and I try to get pumped up, and I couldn't help it. Every name I read, every name, without fail, I'm like, they're gonna say no. I'm like, I'm trying law of attraction stuff, right? I'm like, think positive, and I read their name, and I knew they're just gonna say no. But I made the call anyway. That's the difference. Stop requiring belief before you take action. I didn't believe in myself. In fact, if I look back, if I'm really honest with myself, I didn't actually believe in myself until I was over $1 million a year. And that isn't what did it. That isn't what did it. Because back then I went from goal to goal to goal to goal. I wanted to make $1 million a year because then I'll be worthy. So I hit $1 million a year. I want to hit $1 million a month. I hit $1 million a month. Then I'll be worthy. I want to hit $1 million in a weekend. I hit it. Nothing changed. All I needed was the next goal. And I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? What's happening? And so I'm going to share with you the story, this will be one of my last stories, of what actually helped me with my self-worth. And it's something that you can tap into. So I'm going to share that story. But over the next hour, there's 3 main things that I'm going to share with you. And these are the things that helped me become a #1 income earner. But more importantly, that's great, right? Yeah, yay for you, right? But more importantly, in the last 3 years, it's helped us help network marketers just like you bring in over 300,000 new customers, 71,000 new reps, and achieve 14,000 rank advances. So we track our production. We're not just well wishes and motivational sayings. We track our production. So we create systems in ways that guarantee production. And I'm going to share with you what those things are. So the first thing I'm going to cover is I'm going to talk about culture. Culture is the difference between the thriving, amazing leader and the frustrated one with less people. I've met leaders that have, 50 people in their team, and they're like, oh God, oh man, they're killing me. Oh, they're just exhausted, and they're frustrated, and they're stressed out. My biggest client has 750,000 in his team. He's not stressed out. He's jet skiing, he's boating, right? He's not stressed out because he utilizes systems. He didn't make it all about him. One of the most powerful things you can learn about leadership is make it not count on you. Because if your people think it counts on you, then what do they think they have to do? They have to be you. And if they see you and they're like, I'm not going to take every call. I'm not going to work every weekend. I'm not going to slave every single day and be all stressed out. I don't want that. So you working nonstop in a team ethic kind of way actually sabotages them. And I know why you do it. Guilt. You feel guilty. I brought them in. I gotta help them. But by that way of thinking, you can actually make them not want to be you. You can actually be robbing them of who they could actually be. So we'll talk about culture. Next, I'm going to talk about strategies for social media. I was talking with the lovely Karina last night, and she was sharing with me that you guys are rocking social media. So let me give you some tweaks. Let me little turns of the dial, little things that you can do to generate more leads, to get more engagement, to get more followers and views. I'm going to share all of that with you. My wife and I should say, which she spoke at another event in West Palm yesterday, so she's not here. And we were one of the first trainers in network marketing to teach social media. And trust me, most people didn't buy into it back then. So I remember I was at a company convention, and this was before I was the top income earner. I was just kind of getting started. And this guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I hear you recruit a lot of people on Facebook." And I said, "Oh yeah, we do pretty good." He goes, "Well, I prefer duplication." Right? I'm just like, I'll remember that. And so about 4 months later, when I was a top income earner, I kind of, okay. And so we know how to do social media. We've been teaching that for over a decade, and we know what works right now. Because there are some different strategies. I know some of you are rocking TikTok. TikTok is amazing. It's an amazing marketing platform. I'm going to give you some tweaks around all the different social media platforms. And then last, I'm going to share the 3 things that helped me become the #1 income earner in that company. And these are things that anyone can do. It's up to you the level of effort. And what I've found is people that become really, really successful, they collapse time. People that usually don't reach their goals, they elapse time. They get all the time in the world, right? I don't have to work today, and I don't have to reach out to anybody. So they just take their time, no big deal. And so I'm going to share that with you. All right, so culture. My definition of culture, and I'd heard this for many years, my definition of culture, because I'd never heard anyone actually define it. So is culture in the network marketing context, okay? So it's not the foods we eat, it's not the traditions that we have. In network marketing, my definition is the making of people to feel good regardless of their level of desire or level of result. So if I walk into a team and maybe I'm dealing with other things in my life and I'm not ready to build a business, am I chastised? Am I pushed? Is the leader saying, "Hey, you got to step it up," right? Are people in my face? Then that would be a not so great culture. Now you think that you're helping them. I just got to push them, man. But if the person doesn't have your same level of desire, that's not actually helping them. That's making them feel like a disappointment. So the parent that goes to the kids and says, "Hey, are you going to go to medical school?" And they're like, "Well, no, I don't really want to be a doctor." Okay. "Hey, have you thought about medical school?" Right? So when you speak to someone as if they should have a desire that's higher than they currently have, it rarely lifts them to your level of desire for them. It usually makes them feel like a disappointment, like they're not good enough. And the world has plenty of that. We've all been through different things in our lives that confirm that for us. And I'm here to tell you that you didn't deserve it. My childhood wasn't ideal. I was abused up until the age of 12. In fact, for most of my life, I actually couldn't help it. I slept in a ball because as a kid, every single morning I was grabbed by the ankles and thrown against a closet and stomped. And so I grew up thinking I deserved that. I grew up thinking that I was just a bad kid. So there's plenty of people out there that are already dealing with they're not good enough. We don't have to add to that. And I'm here to share with you that I had multiple six-figure earners that didn't do anything their first 6 months. They didn't get off to a fast start. They didn't come in screaming. But I had a culture that allowed them to be who they were, and they stuck around the campfire so long that they finally caught a spark, and they decided to work, and they went on to become very, very successful. You have a culture where you want to make people feel good just for being part of the family. And maybe you already do that, and that's awesome. But if you take on the guilt, if I take on the guilt of everyone's got to make a paycheck, everyone's got to make a lot of money because I brought them in, you're going to harm your rep and make them feel bad, like they're not doing enough for you, like they're not fired up enough. And so one of the things that I learned from a gentleman named Larry Thompson. Larry Thompson's been in network marketing for over 50, been a trainer for over 50 years. He actually joined at the same meeting, same hotel, same night that Jim Rohn joined network marketing. Isn't that interesting? And he has a concept called, we call it the Thompson rule, but it stands for 80, 15, and 5. And that's an equation, 80%, 15%, 5%. 80% of the people in your organization, and I've talked to those in Malaysia and Singapore and Australia and Japan and England and Ireland, all over the US, of course. No matter where you are, 80% of your organization has a level of desire of $0 to $500 a month. That's where they're at. So if we try to pressure them to have a desire higher than that, then you're going to lose them. That's a much greater chance than them step it up into your vision. So there's a way of having culture for the team, and then there's also a way to coach those that are hungry. And I'm going to share with you how exactly to do that. So if you go into your group, whether it's a Facebook group or WhatsApp or whatever you use, what's the other one, Discord, or there's a couple other ones. But if you go into your group and you speak as if everyone should be fired up and taking massive action and making it happen, then you're going to make it very obvious that some don't belong there. And you're going to make it obvious that some people will be like, you know what, I don't want to disappoint them. I'm not doing all those things. So you have to change your language a little bit. And here's the easiest word for you to use. It's the word if. If you're here and you're currently not focused on making money, but you love being part of the mission, you love being part of the group, you love what we do, then awesome, we love you, we appreciate you. This next training is for those that are wanting to make more money. But we appreciate you being here regardless. So it says it's okay for you to stick around and not be the hard-charging person right now. And you think that, well, if I don't push them, then they won't do anything. Well, you'll retain so many more people and keep so many more people around the campfire, your income will go up. And oh, by the way, 80%, that's also your income. That's where your money comes from. So if we make them feel good and they just stick around and order and be part and step into events whenever they want, then that's very powerful. It creates a path for them to step up and they will stick around. They won't want to go. 15% want to make $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's where their money mindset is. That's where their level of desire is. If they hit that, they're happy, they'll stick around. 5% want to make $25,000 or more a month. 5%. Now, every trainer you'll almost ever hear from is a 5%er. That's how they got there. And that's fine, but what's not fine is thinking that the job of the 5%er is to make everyone else 5%ers. That's where you cause casualty. That's where you have a retention problem. So I've had leaders tell me, they're like, I have great culture. My culture is amazing, but I just have a retention problem. No. Retention problems are a result of culture. Now, think about the gym, right? Gym owners have this down, right? You know what I mean? Gym, right? And so you go into a gym, you work out for a few minutes, take a selfie for Instagram, and then you go to leave. What does the gym owner say? Way to go, buddy. Way to kill it. Right? They know you didn't burn a calorie. They know you didn't transform your body. They know you're not going hard at it. But they appreciate your membership. I get those confused sometimes. Now, what if the gym owner said, you know what? My job is to get everyone ripped. I got to get everyone in here to be stacked and jacked and trim and nice, right? Competing. And so every person comes in, regardless of what they do, like, hey, did you do deadlift? Pick that up. Lift your shirt, boy. If they started applying that kind of pressure, how would their memberships go? Why am I paying for this abuse? I don't have that level of desire. I don't want to compete. So you'll have people that would have paid that membership forever and been happy doing it. See, that's the hard part to understand. I've met people in network marketing that have been in network marketing for 25 years, never made much money. You couldn't drag them away from it because it's changed their relationships. It's changed their outlook on life. It's made them feel good. They've met great friends. You see, income is not, you're not a one-trick pony here. You have an amazing community. And you have people in your community that may not get respect from their spouse. They may have relationship issues with their kids. They may hate their job. Your group may be the only place where they actually feel good. So why would you turn them away because they're not fired up? Let them stay. Let them stick around. Let them hang out and love on them for it. Be appreciative of them. And so you learn that is how you grow a much larger team. You don't grow it by intensity, you grow it by longevity, keeping them around longer. And there's a very big difference between your personal work ethic and team work ethic. Your personal work ethic, that's up to you. I know people that have said, well, hey, I don't want to reach out to 50 people a day because, my team won't duplicate that. That's not what's important. Okay? You choose your personal work ethic. What you have to be careful of, though, is your team work ethic. What you do for your team, they think they have to do. So if you're checking every order, and you got everyone's login, right? And you're checking everyone's commission check, yeah, it looks right, right? Oh, it's on this way, right? If you're logging into their accounts, if you hop on the phone any time of the day, they think that's what they have to do, and they don't want to do that. They signed up for financial freedom. What are you talking about? You ain't free. You work all day long. So you got to be careful about your team work ethic. Now, in the corporate world, people wear their work ethic on their sleeve. Hey, I'm first one in, last one out. Hey, worked overtime this weekend, right? You don't have to do that to your team. Don't share with them, how much you're necessarily doing personally. You don't have to share that with them. But you do need to be doing things in a manner that they too can do. Does that make sense? Helpful so far? Okay. Let me give you some strategies for social media. So first of all, I wish I had a whiteboard or something, but first of all, there's two pillars of building any business. I don't care if you're a plumbing business, an air conditioning business, I don't care what kind of business you are, right? There's two pillars: marketing, prospecting. That's your two pillars. Marketing is passive. I do something I hope someone reacts or responds to. So I do a TikTok, I do a Facebook Live, I do a flyer in the laundromat, right? Well, whatever. That's passive. I do something I hope someone reacts to it. Prospecting is you reaching out to an individual. Now that could be text message, could be direct message, could be a phone call, could be face-to-face. Prospecting is you reaching out to an individual. And so that's important for you to understand the distinction, because the tactics that you use in those are different. They're different. The things that you would say in a personal conversation is not what you would say in your marketing. So I might say, hey, would you be open to take a look at what I'm doing to make some extra money? I might say that. You wouldn't post that, because that sounds a little strange, a little nah, right? And so understand that, and then I'll break down some strategies for you. So the important thing to understand about, let's go Facebook. Let's talk about Facebook first. And so Facebook, one of the most important things for you to understand is just how to work their algorithm. And I used to not teach this, but it's become so obvious that you really have to, okay? So first of all, what should you post versus what should you put in stories? And what are stories good for, okay? Stories are kind of like what you hang on your refrigerator. Who sees that? Do strangers strolling by, look in your house and see the refrigerator? Probably not. Friends, people that know you, they'll see those. Stories are people that are seeing your stuff. They like you, they know you, they want to follow you, they watch your stories. And so stories are a powerful marketing mechanism for you to attract people to you, get people reaching out, raise awareness, promote things. Great. You're not typically going to attract strangers that way. Strangers aren't usually going to see that, usually, okay? On your timeline or feed or whatever they're calling it nowadays, here's my big suggestions around that. One, I would suggest posting things that are not of promotional nature on there, okay? So the biggest mistake that most network marketers make is they have this thing for sale. And so they think that all of their marketing has to talk about this thing. Instead of thinking about this thing for sale, if you want to make more sales, think about who might buy this. Think about the person versus the thing. And so start posting things that would attract that person to you. Education, you can find articles and learn from them, pull snippets from them. But I wouldn't do more than, I'm okay. I wouldn't do more than 1 or 2 posts on your feed per day. And I would never post on your feed unless you've done 2 things. 1, engaged before you post. So go and comment on other people's stuff. It doesn't actually matter who. Just showing that you're active on Facebook, then post, then wait, and anyone that engages, engage with them as quickly as you can. What this signals to Facebook is that, hey, this person's active. Now, too often, people will be going to bed, and so they'll post something, and they'll go to bed. And so a couple people will comment, you don't respond to them because you're sleeping, and Facebook is like, oh, this person doesn't really respond. I don't need to show it to anybody else. So that pre and post is actually very important. So engage before you post something or before you do a live. Make sure you have time set aside to engage afterwards. Just that right there will really, really help you out. The next thing that will help you out with Facebook is if you have friends that you're actually friends with on Facebook and they never comment on your stuff, they never post anything, unfriend them. Because Facebook looks at how many friends you have and what percentage of people are commenting. The lower that percentage, the less they show your stuff. So the artificial way to improve that percentage is to reduce your friends. And so I'm not saying, pick I really like them, but we know we're friends with people. We don't really need to be on Facebook. They never post. They never respond. You send them messages, they don't even read them. Unfriend those people. And then later, if they get mad, say, oh my God, it must have been a mistake, right? Just claim ignorance. It'll be fine. But that will really help you with your engagement. About 1.5 years ago, something changed or I became aware, I should say, of a major shift in the marketing hierarchy. So going back to Facebook's algorithm, when you post something, they show it to a small section of people that know you, follow you, or are friends with you. If it does well with that small section of people, it'll open it up a little bit more. Show it to more people. You've never posted anything where 100% of your friends actually saw it. That's just not how it works. Doesn't happen. So they'll show it to a few people that know you, a little bit more if it does well. If it doesn't do well, they'll keep it at that. That's why you get fewer comments. That's why you get fewer engagement. Well, TikTok came out with a very different algorithm. Their algorithm is they look at the content and they don't care who's following you or not following you, knows you, doesn't know you. They show it to who they think might like it. So they take this piece of content and they look into their database and say, man, I think these guys will like this, whether they know you or not. This is a very massive move for marketing. It's actually unbelievable. And in 16 years of being a full-time marketer, it's actually the most amazing thing that's ever happened to marketing. We have students that are getting over 1 million views that aren't influencers. So when I had friends of mine tell me, hey, people are crushing it on TikTok, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, fine. And I thought they meant influencers. They didn't mean influencers. People who had struggled for years on Facebook were going over there and making thousands and thousands of dollars, and they were not influential. And I'm like, I gotta learn this. That is crazy. And so that's what we found. We found that their algorithm doesn't care how many followers you have. If you consistently produce content on there, and there's ways of doing it, then it's gonna open it up to people that don't know you or not. When people are scrolling on TikTok or Instagram Reels now, if they're scrolling, it's not like, hey, wait a minute, who is this? Let me see their bio before I watch this 15-second video. No, they just, right, they click it. If you make it in a certain way, you have more likelihood that people will click it. So it became the easiest way for you to get your stuff in front of people that didn't know you. Now this is very powerful because a lot of people don't feel like they have support from their friends and family. And so they've felt stuck in network marketing. Well, now with this new technology, you can actually get in front of a lot of people that don't actually know you. Okay? Is that helpful? All right. All right, let me share with you the 3 things that I did to become the top earner of that company. So I had read a book called Go for No. Anyone ever read that? Pretty sure they have it in Spanish, Go for No. And it is all about getting over your resistance and reaction to rejection. Okay? It's basically designed to make you bulletproof. Is this accurate? Oh, good. Yes. And so it's designed for you to no longer care if you get rejected. That's a very powerful place to be. Because most people don't become who they should be and could be because they're too scared of looking stupid. They're too scared of being told no, of being rejected. And so this book gives you that concept of, hey, just get over that. Just go for no's. Set you a no goal. And so I'm like, this makes sense. And so I asked myself, what would make success inevitable? What would just guarantee that I crush this thing? And the number I came up with was 20. So every day before my head hit the pillow, I had to get 20 no's a day. Now, that is a lot. These are not 20 people that didn't respond. I had thousands of those, lots of those. 20 people that told me, no, I'm not interested. No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to do it. No, thank you. You start going for no's, you become a different type of network marketer. Now, I've been sharing this for 10 years. There may have been more. I'm only aware of 2 people that did 20 no's a day for a long period of time. Both became $1 million earners. Both of them. Because when you're going for no at that kind of pace, you are going to get some yeses. And sometimes they'll surprise you. Like I remember when I'm just in the groove, I'm just like, hey, you want to take a look at this? And like, yes. And I'm like, okay, what? What's that? Like, oh my God, a yes. This is crazy. And so that was the first thing that I did. The second step, because I hated prospecting. So maybe you hear that 20 no's a day and you think, oh, that's it. He likes prospecting. He likes talking to people. I didn't like prospecting. I didn't like reaching out to people. And it's why I created step 2, which was I decided to do a video a day. Every single day, whether I felt like it, whether it was raining outside, whether I had a good day the day before, bad day, didn't matter. I did a video a day. And I started that on July 15, 2009, and I actually kept that up for over 11 years. I didn't miss a day for 11 years. 2 weeks ago, I broke that streak. I was in a 7-day meditation retreat, and I just decided, I'm not going to do it. But 11 years. The reason I started doing a video a day is I knew if I just did enough of these darn things, people would start reaching out to me. And that's way cooler, way better. That's marketing, right? So 20 no's a day, prospecting. Video a day, marketing. Now most people aren't going to do a video a day, right? So you get to pick your pace. So if you're not prospecting at all, for you to shoot for 20 no's a day is unreasonable, right? 2 no's a day, 5 no's a day. Build the muscle. It's like if you wanted to start working out, but you've never worked out in your life, don't go for 8 hours, right? And the next day you're sore and you can barely move. Go for 30 minutes, go for 20 minutes. Build the muscle. Get a little bit better each time, a little bit better. Video a day, that may sound unreasonable. Do a couple a week. Do 1 a week. Do anything more than you're currently doing. That's your choice, right? Now, when I started that, I didn't have any kind of fast success. I wasn't crushing it. So 4 months in, I hadn't had anybody reach out to me. Now, 4 months doesn't sound like a lot of time. But just think about that. That's 120 videos. Most people haven't done 120 videos in their career. I'd done it 4 months. At the end of the 4th month, I had a guy reach out to me who goes on to become my #1 income earner in my team. If I had stopped, if I had said, well, this isn't working, I never would have talked to him. He built a team in the tens of thousands of people. I didn't know him, he didn't know me, he found my video, reached out to me, joined my team, became my top earner. That never would have happened if I wasn't consistent. And I know we're going to do a Q&A at some point. I am an expert at helping unlock why you're not consistent. So if you're not consistent, ask me in the questions, and I'm happy to help that because I've helped a lot of people with that. Third thing I did, self-development. Keep in mind, when I got serious about network marketing, I was not in a good place. Sometimes I don't share this. I avoided mirrors. I didn't want to look at myself. It made me sick. Here's someone that, was doing really, really well. Now I'm lying to my mom because I'm broke. Every day before I go outside, I have to look through the blinds, see if anyone was out there because bill collectors were after me. Felt like a loser. That's where I was. I needed self-development very, very badly. So every day, I would either read a book, and in the beginning, I'm broke, so I watch YouTube videos, I read library books, I reread Think and Grow Rich. I worked on myself every single day. And one thing I decided to do is as I started to make more money, I started taking some of that money and investing in me. Started investing in me. Started getting courses, started getting coaches, started going to masterminds. One of the, I think people like hearing this, but one of the investments I made a few years ago, I gave a gentleman named Grant Cardone. Anyone know him? Grant Cardone? Very humble, mild guy, very quiet. introverted, kind of awkward. No, he's a showman, man. He's the big time, and I paid him because I felt I could learn something from him that would help me impact more people. That's why I do this. That's where I selfishly do this. People don't use that word, right? Selfish. Ooh. I do this selfishly because it makes me feel good. It just so happens to help you. I do it to make me feel good. And so I hired him. It was $100,000 for 6 hours, right? 17 grand an hour, roughly. But in that first hour, he gave me a different way to look at how we were doing things that added $1 million that year. 1 hour. So I know what that's like. I know what self-development and learning from others can do. So I applaud you for being here today. You know, the company has put together just an amazing couple of days for you and just an amazing program. And so I applaud you for being here. You know, it's Sabado, right? You could be doing other things, but you're here. You're here because you want to feel a different life. You want to change your life and the lives of others. And maybe you feel bad to even desire something for yourself, but you absolutely want to help other people. Here's the cool thing about network marketing. You help enough other people, your life gets changed. It absolutely gets changed. And so those were the 3 things: 20 no's a day, video a day, self-development every day. Those are things that you can do too. Now, maybe not to that quantity. Maybe not 20 no's a day, because that's a lot. Maybe it's 2 or 5 no's a day. Maybe it's a video every week, 2 videos every week. You get to choose that. And if you have questions around what kind of videos did I do and all that stuff, I'm happy to share that with you. Has this been helpful so far? Okay. A lot of times when I do these kind of talks at companies or in front of groups, people are wanting to know, okay, you know, how do I get more of this kind of stuff? Because I can only cover so much in my slot here. And so we actually have something you may not be aware of. So when I quoted those numbers, in the last 3 years, we've helped network marketers bring in over 300,000 new customers, 71,000 new reps, and achieve 14,000 rank advancements. That's actually from our group that we call Rank Makers. Well, years ago, we had a Spanish community that really wanted us to start translating those videos, so we did. So we actually have a Rank Makers Spanish, where you get access to almost never-ending library by topic of how to grow your business and how to grow yourself. If you would like to check that out, you can. It's at higdongroup.com/Spanish. higdongroup.com/Spanish. And that is, it's just a monthly membership, very affordable. This is not costing you an arm and a leg, but it's Higdon, my last name, higdongroup.com/Spanish. Now, I told you in my meditation, there were a couple stories that came to me that I knew I had to share. First one's about my dad. And the first time, I'm going to share with you the first time I ever shared this. So it was 2010, and I think recently had become the #1 income earner of that company. And so there was a team I was working with out of Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. And they said, you know, Ray, can you come up and do, you know, a meeting? And I'm like, okay. And it was right around that time that I started trusting myself more. I started kind of believing in myself more. I didn't before, but I started. Like, this was kind of where I really started. And so I learned to trust myself. And so before that presentation, I just had, you know, a revelation: talk about your dad. And I had never talked about my dad, ever. And so I'm like, I just felt like I needed to do this. So when I was dead broke, one of the things that helped me is I went to an event. And I was specifically going to that event because I needed to make money. And I'm like, I hope I learn how to make money. That's where I was, because I was broke. I mean, I was, again, selling furniture, sold my class ring, like I'm just trying to sell anything to stay afloat, and I'm not staying afloat. And I go to this event, and I realized that I had repair relationship with Dad on a to-do list with no priority. What happens with things that are on to-do lists with no priority is you lose the opportunity. People pass away, right? And by the way, at that point, he had never met my sons. My sons were, 10 and maybe 11 back then. He'd never met them. And I have my reasons. He wasn't there for me. He didn't stick up for me. He didn't do the abuse, but he allowed it. And he turned the other cheek. And so in that event, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna call him. And so I call him, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to reconnect. I'd like us to have a relationship, and I'd like you to meet your grandsons. And so, I go up there. He lives in Indiana, and I go up there, and we create a relationship, something that wasn't there before. And I come home, and after I came home was when I was introduced to that network marketing company that I went on to become the #1 income earner of. Now, I believe that if I'd been introduced to that a month prior, I wouldn't have joined. But when you clear up some of your past, new things open up in your life. When you let some energy go of anger, resentment, shame, guilt, when you let that go, you have new energy for creation, because you are a creator. You're creating at all times, good or bad. And so that repair relationship with Dad was the thing that changed my life, that got me to say yes to network marketing. Now, I share this story. First time I ever shared it, 2010. The guy that invited me to speak, he comes down, after I share the story, he's coming down the aisle just like this, tears pouring down his face. I'm like, wow, And I'm like, man, that really touched you. And he said, I can't believe you just shared that story. I haven't talked to my dad in 17 years. And tomorrow, I fly out for his funeral. Since I've shared that story, I've had people repair their relationships with their moms, with their dads. I've had 3 people send me letters that they repaired a relationship. All 3 happen to be their dad. That they repaired a relationship with their dad, and their dad shortly thereafter passed away. So I was literally a timepiece in their life that had they not heard that story, they would not have done that, and they probably wouldn't feel too good about that. You have things that you've survived. You have things that you've overcome. And I'm going to encourage you that if there's someone that's meaningful to you, and if they passed away, and that would mean something to you, but you're holding a grudge against them, let it go, man. Let it go. Whatever they did to you, they did the best they could with what they had been through. I can look at my abuser, and I know she did the best she could with what she knew. She did the best she could with what she had experienced in her life. And so I encourage you, let that go. And when you let that energy go, you have no idea how that'll transform your life. And you share that story. You be willing to be vulnerable and share that story, and you're going to impact other people. The main story that came to me, someone I'm very proud of, a lady named Renee Adams. And I'll end with this. A lady named Renee Adams. So we ran a reality show called Play to Win. We had people come from all over the world, and they competed for a job with us. And we put them through the ringer. We had them selling in the streets. We had them, doing challenges, and it wasn't easy. There was a lady in season 1 that she had never shared this before. She had never shared her story. And she comes up to me during the filming, and she shares that she had been sexually abused as a kid, and she had even been trafficked. She had been in and out of the foster program. She had literally one of the worst childhoods you could possibly ever imagine, ever. And after loving on her and telling her that she didn't deserve that and that she's worthy of more, I added this. And I said, you could change a lot of lives if you share your story. You could impact a lot of people if you're willing to be vulnerable and share that. And I say that to people. Sometimes they do something, sometimes they don't, right? Within a month, she was speaking at abuse centers. Last year, she shared her story for the International Conference Against Human Trafficking in front of 17 countries with thousands of people hearing her story and getting impact. She's one of my heroes. I look to her and I just think of her strength, and that these are the things that keep me going, that keep me showing up, that keep me doing what I do. I want you to have those stories. And she sent me, I don't know if you probably won't be able to hear it, but she sent me a message today saying, she sent a message and she said, I just want to say that I love you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have that power to impact people at that kind of level, and they need it. We're in a world that needs a change. We're in a world where things are upside down and crazy. It needs more love. It needs more acceptance. It needs your heart, the heart that I felt last night. You have to realize that you have that power to impact people at all income levels across the absolute world, because I guarantee you these guys are going to expand all across the globe. And I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much, Ray.
My pleasure.
It was really amazing.
Thank you.
I'm still touched because of everything that you gave us.
Appreciate it.
Really. Thank you very much. There is something that most of people doing MLM used to do very often, like, and you said it in a word, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it easy for people to leave just inventing some kind of excuses for not continuing, despite they know that they need this opportunity? Because anybody knows how many people is outside looking for something. So
Yeah. So is the question, why aren't people consistent, or why do people leave?
why no, how many things, extra things they need to do for avoiding not to have consistency? I mean,
So the lack, what's that? Oh.
okay.
The lack of consistency is because they're drawing a wrong conclusion to success. And this is the most prominent issue for people to understand, that their business problem is a personal problem. It's not that they don't know what to do. It's not that they don't understand prospecting or marketing or anything like that. It's a personal issue that they're unable to identify. So I'll give you an example. A lady that I coached, she actually won a coaching call. And so this was a 10-minute coaching call. It was a little intense. And she told me that for the last 4.5 years, she had done really well, fallen off. Done really well, fallen off. And she just kept hitting this ceiling, okay? So for me to figure out someone, I just need a couple things. I need a pattern. If you give me a pattern, I can usually ask enough questions to figure out what the actual issue is, okay? So she would hit this, go down, hit this, go down, hit this, go down. Now, she was building on social media, and she used a word. She said, I just don't want to disappoint people. So I did something I call a poke. And I said, who disappointed you as a kid? Now, what would most trainers do? You just need to be fired up. Come on, we're rocking, right? You know what I mean? They try to pump them up.
Yeah.
But if you pump up doesn't last. Addressing the actual issue unlocks potential. So I said, who as a kid disappointed you? And she said, well, maybe not disappointment, but shame. Okay, why is that? And she said, well, my mother was a prostitute. I'm like, okay. I'm putting things together now, and I ask, do local people and friends and family know this? And she said, yes. And then she added, and she's still alive. I now know the problem. The problem is, she believes that if she crosses this barrier of success, that the people that know her will be angry and jealous, and they'll start saying, yeah, but your mom was a prostitute who's still alive. So what does she do? She will prevent that at all costs. Now, this is an imaginary line. It doesn't exist, but to her, it's got to be past this. I can't go past this, or else that's going to happen, which would cause my mother shame, and I would do anything in the world to avoid that. And so we're at minute 9, and she's crying. She's like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, and she's having a breakdown. And I said, but there's another way to look at it. Your mom literally did everything she could to give you more potential in your life, because she didn't have that. She did everything in the world to help you have a better life than her. And for that to be the reason that you don't succeed, that's a slap in the face.
Wow.
And so we hang up, and I wondered about her. I'm like, I wonder if she's okay. Because I won't, people are unable to accept advice that are above their vibration. So sometimes I'll give people advice in stages. So if I see that someone is really, really negative about their life, I'm not going to tell them the end solution because they can't process it. They're unable to. So when in your efforts of pumping up your team, most are unable to process when you say it's going to be $1 billion opportunity or it's going to be the fastest growing company. They can't process it because they're at such a low vibration. But what you can do is say, hey, what if you impacted one person? What if you helped 2 people? Okay? And so I was wondering about her. She texted me 2 days later and she said, I talked with my mom and it's on. And she's now surpassed that. Now she could have had 1,000 books. None of them would have told her this is the reason. It just would have told her more strategy, more tactic. Go do this. Just get over yourself. But if you have something like, I don't want to cause my mom shame, and that's your conclusion to success, you will never pass that unless you're aware of it and you can observe it and say, I choose that that's not true. If you've ever seen a family member that made a bunch of money and lost it and was ridiculed by the family, you'll sabotage your success because you don't ever want to be ridiculed by the family. You don't want to look like the idiot. Hey, don't be like your Uncle Earl, right? You'll actually program like, oh my God, I better not be like Uncle Earl. So how do I avoid being Uncle Earl? Well, if I never make much money, then I don't lose much. Win? Not really. And so consistency has a much more deeper meaning. It means that they're drawing the conclusion that being consistent means negative, means something harmful, means something unsafe. This is why, this is why some women who've been through abuse don't want to lose weight. Because when they were at a great weight, they were abused. And they're still carrying that. They're still carrying that the equation of me being successful in this area of my life means pain. I want to avoid pain, so let's not do that.
That's why they avoid them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, really. Actually, for the people that was waiting for this answer, I think that everybody, including me, is totally clear. We need to work inside. deeper.
Yeah.
As a leaders, we need to have something else to give that extra to our people, right? To
Yeah.
our team. Okay.
Yeah,
That's it.
what's meaningful to them, and figuring out, what's the pattern?
Them back.
What's the pattern? And if you often, this is very, very common, speaking above their vibration isn't really going to help. You have to see them, I'll give you an example. So today I did a coaching on my Facebook, just a Facebook Live, and a lady said, "No one wants my products, no one wants to join." Now this is an abundant mindset, right? And this is a statement. Nobody wants it. It isn't I feel like nobody. And so I didn't tell her her end answer for her to be the highest version of herself, because she's not ready for that. I said, here's how to change your life. Acknowledge. And I asked, are you coachable? I'm like, acknowledge your weaker thought, because it's just a thought. Acknowledge it. See, when people tell you to say, I'm a millionaire, and you know that's a lie, that will never pass your neocortex in your brain. It'll never, you're actually causing yourself more harm because you don't believe it, you know it's untrue. But what you could do, if in that scenario, is, in the past, acknowledge it, honor it. In the past I used to think this, but it's getting better. See, that's a baby step. That's how you get better, right? So if you're broke, instead of saying, I'm broke, right? So you know what, in the past I struggled with money, but I'm so excited that it's getting better. See, that's harder to call a lie. If you say, I'm a millionaire, lie. So vibrationally, it's not helpful. Oh.
Thank you very much again.
Isn't she awesome? Give her a hand. Yay. You're awesome. Appreciate you. Mwah. Yes.
We have another question from Manuel Guevara from Chile. He's a millionaire diamond. He asked, how can you manage your social media to attract more prospects without falling in necessity?
Without what?
Without falling in necessity, that you need them, that is you're struggling, kind of having new prospects. How you can handle your social media to attract people?
So how to do social media to attract people?
Yeah.
So can I do the whiteboard? Can you bring that up? Is that possible? And is it without being desperate? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. That's a great question. Okay. You're not going to hold it, are you? Like you got to stand or something, right?
Good, that's all.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. This isn't very dark, so hopefully you can see it. Okay. Okay. Can you see that? Is that on the camera? Oof. It's not very great, is it? Can't speak Spanish, can't draw. I know. Right? You're stuck with me. So, this is what I call the buy cycle. B-U-Y. 5% of people will just never buy from you, ever. Personal choice, they just don't want it, just not going to buy, right? 1% are actively looking, I would say less than 1%, are actively looking for the solution you provide. They're actually hunting. They're scouring and looking for, man, I wish I had something that would help me with this. 94% need more information. So when I was building my team in network marketing, I was generating over 3,000 leads a month for free. I wasn't paying. Now, I'm not saying not to pay, but I wasn't doing ads. There were 1,500 people a month searching on Google, what MLM is Ray Higdon in? Because I didn't say the name. What I did was education, because I'm after this. I'm after the people that need more information. They don't have enough to make a buying decision. But if they just knew about my solution, then I might be able to get them. So, what's your number one selling product? And what does that help with? Energy or?
Immune system, put it in alkaline state. It helps something about many diseases.
Okay. So, if I'm selling that product, I never post it on my social media. That sounds strange, doesn't it? Here's what I would do. And this is a process called ILT. It's how I built my business. Generated over $30 million. Invest, learn, teach. You invest your time, possibly money, to learn something, then you teach it. So, if I have something that helps with immune system, I'm going to go on Google. 2 O's, G-O-O-G. I'm going to go on Google. And I'm going to type in tips for immune system. Okay? What's that? Yeah. So I'm going to type in immune system tips, how to boost your immune system. I'm going to read 3 or 4 articles, and I'm going to get some tips. And I might post them on my Facebook feed. I might post them over here. Right? Hey, if you're trying to boost your immune system, here's some tips. No link, no sales, no product, no mention of anything. All I'm mentioning is the education. So I'm going to post, or I'll do a video. I'll take that same information, I'll do a video. So I'll go live and I'll say, hey guys, I know that there's some people out there looking to boost their immune system. Let me share with you the 8 top tips that I found. And I found them from some really cool articles. I'm happy to share with you the sources. Now that is a very sneaky call to action. And we've tested it. I've done 11 years of doing a video a day. I've tested these things. So if you do a video, you following me so far? Okay. So if you do a video and you reference articles and you say, hey, I found some really cool articles. If you'd like them, just message me. I'll send them to you. That's actually the most powerful call to action you can have. Not buy my thing, because how many will do that? Less than 1%. I'm looking to create a lot of leads, because then I don't even have to be that good. I don't even have to be that good at closing. Now, I am good at closing, but I don't have to be. If I'm getting, 30, 40 leads a day, then I don't actually have to be a super closer to make a lot of money. So I'm going to do this live, and I'm going to say, hey, I was searching immune system tips. I found a bunch of tips. These are my 8 favorite. Boom, 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 boom. I hope that was helpful to you. By the way, if you want the articles, just send me a message. Now, who's going to watch that video? Who's going to reach out? People that want to boost their immune system. Hello. Right? The exact person you're searching for, that if you posted your product, they would have ignored because they needed more information. So when they message me, when they comment and say, hey, great video, I'll say, hey, cool, hey, I'll send you a message, would love to connect with you. And I'll send them a message and I'll say, hey, I saw you on my video for immune system, and I don't know what you're currently taking, but I actually have something that might help with that. I'm happy to share it with you if you'd like. And if not, totally cool. Anybody that messages me for the articles, I must say this. I'm happy to send those to you when I'm in front of my computer, but I'm just curious, what have you tried for your immune system? And I'm going to start a conversation with my exact target market. So if I have something for weight loss, if I have something for healthy pet food, just throwing it out there, I don't know if anyone does, right? So if I have something for energy, if I have something for sleeping, if I have something for stressful, migraines, if I have something for a headache, if I have something for, backache, I'm going to go Google how to help backaches. Hey guys, I was searching on Google for some backaches. I have this little thing right here. And here's a few tips. And by the way, if you want the sources, I'm happy to send them to you. Who's going to watch that? Someone without a backache? Someone that's just fancy and free and, my back is fine, but I watched it anyway? No. No, they're not going to watch it. How to have better sleep? Who's going to watch that? Someone who sleeps like a baby? Of course not. Only someone that has the problem that your solution would help with, your exact target market. So that's how I generate exact people. Now, will everyone buy? No, not everyone's going to buy. But for you to funnel people that have your problem, that are interested in the solution that you have, that's a much easier conversation.
So it's more a matter of contribution than self.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Give, then receive.
Yeah. There's a quote that there's two quotes that drove me in my business. One by Steve Martin, comedian, actor, pretty cool guy. And he says, "Be so good they can't ignore you." I want to provide so much education, and that's what we've done for 10 years. They just couldn't ignore me. I mean, companies that shunned me before are like, "Hey man, we kind of need you. We need to come over here and help us," right? And the second one is from a gentleman named Jason Fried, not nearly as well known, but he says, "Out-teach your competition." So when I was in that network marketing company, I may not have been the number one recruiter. I became the number one earner, but no one taught more than me. I just did this more than anybody else. So it wasn't that difficult as it started working.
Okay. We have another question from Brenda Battistini from Peru. She's asked, which one is the best skills or the most important skills you need to develop to increase your network marketing achieve?
Best skill.
Or the most important skill you need to handle?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to see if I classify this as a skill, but I would say it's consistency. I mean, you showing up. It's so important. And I was going to share this story with you. So one of our students, she had been in network marketing for 17 years, had never made her money back. She had to promise her husband she would never do another one. Like she pinky swore and everything, right? You could never stop it. You're spending our money. You never make it back. You can't do it. And so she swore she would never do it again. She came across our social media training. And I'm not suggesting this, but behind her husband's back, she joined a company. She became $1 million earner in that company. Consistently showing up. I don't know when you're going to reach your potential, but I know quitting won't speed it up. And there are going to be bad days. Success doesn't look like this. It just doesn't. It's kind of like this and like this. I've had many bad days. I remember when, my mentor, one of my very early mentors passed away from pancreatic cancer. That was a very bad day. And I had a very bad series of days because of that. I remember when I had an employee steal $60,000 from me. Someone that we had supported her kids, we had supported her charity, we had, she'd been to our house and stole 60 grand from us. Had bad days, but just kept going. Kept showing up, you doing something. So that doesn't mean that I work all day, every day, but there's no day where I don't do some work. I may have a low production day, I don't have a no production day. And that's what it takes. It takes you to keep showing up. Can I get some water, Beto? I think I have a water bottle somewhere. I don't know. I don't know whose that is, and I'm not drinking it. Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh, fancy. All right. Okay, let me see. What kind of water? I'll give you some. Okay. Do you have one of those? So, purified water, it pulls minerals from your body and depletes you in energy. Spring water actually is better. That's better. This is better. Yeah, thank you. I'll just drink spring. I'm not fancy. So I like spring water. Please. I like Q&A, so you hit me.
This is a question from Yankeli Collado. I have been leading a team in a traditional business for 10 years. In network marketing, in my experience in these last years, I have seen that I need a different leadership skills. Can you give me 3 tips to lead my new team?
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
So, one, understand what I talked about with culture. Okay? Understand that there are different levels of desire, and those levels of the desire vary. Okay? So someone, and by the way, I should have said this, it's levels of desire, not levels of result. I know a lot of people that are making $1 million a year in network marketing, and they don't prospect anybody anymore. They're not a 5%er. Right? It's level of desire. And desire, you know, by your attempts at personal production. You going for 20 no's a day, but you're not making any money, you're a 5%er. You have that level of desire of, I'm going to make it happen no matter what. It is not result. Everyone confuses that. So understand that culture piece. And that, you know, when you're speaking to your team, use that if statement. Hey, if you're here and you're loving being part of the group and you're getting the product and you're feeling great, but you just don't want to build a business right now, awesome, totally cool. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep them around longer. Keep them feeling acknowledged, heard from, grateful for. When someone raises their hand and says, hey, I want to become a top earner, give them homework. Go do this, report back in. Go watch the fast start, report back in with questions. Go prospect 5 people, report back in. Go do your first video if they're there. I want to make sure they have to agree to do it. I'm not just going to issue a go do this and no, right? I want them to agree to it. Why do I like that? Because anyone can do that. So everything I'm doing with my team, I have to ask myself, do they feel they could do this? Do they feel that they could tell someone, go do this, report back in? Of course they can. So, big mistake that goes against this. And I made all these mistakes. So, if someone calls and says, hey, how do I approach my coworkers? And you're on the phone and you're like, oh yeah, I'm more than happy to help you, Janet. And so you spend the next hour just giving her the amazing strategy with the blueprint and the script and how to approach, what time to approach, and you share all these amazing things. They'll thank you. They'll say, oh my God, oh, you're a lifesaver. Oh, so amazing. But they'll never think they can be you. And oh, by the way, they can't rewind it, they can't replay it, they can't point their reps to it. It's not uploaded anywhere. They certainly can't repeat it. And chances are they won't do it. How do I know? Because I did this. So what would you do instead to lead them better? Someone says, hey, how do I approach my coworkers? Say, you know what, that's a great question. We actually have a video that shares exactly how to do that. And the cool thing about the video is you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can make notes. If you have a rep that asks you, you can point them to that same video. I could have 10,000 people watch that video. Can I do 10,000 of these, or do I want to do 10,000 of these? No. And the main thing is, they don't believe they can do what you do on the phone. So it is not, I've never seen it a case of the more personal time per rep actually increase production. It usually decreases. Now, we in our mom guilt, or whatever you want to call it, I got to pour into them. I got to spend a lot of time with them. But you very easily could be causing sabotage because they want to spend time with their family. They don't want to be on call all the time. They don't want to answer the phone every single hour of the hour. They don't want to be, right? And so that would be the next. And the third thing, the best thing you can do for your team is build a new one. Now, that doesn't mean ignore the existing. It doesn't mean that they're less than, doesn't mean that they're not great, but they need to see you doing the things you wish they were doing. So I want to be welcoming new people into the company. I want to be welcoming new customers. Hey, welcome Janice. Who's Janice? I never heard of Janice, right? I want to be welcoming people into the team. I want them to see me doing the work that I wish they were doing. too many leaders. They'll recruit a few people, and then they'll step into their chair. All right, people, go and do stuff, right? And they stop prospecting. They stop bringing people in. And that energy permeates in the team. You're not doing the work. You're not doing it. Why? Right? And so that would be my 3 basic tips. Yeah. Thank you. All right.